What is up, Nickel City Mafia? Welcome to the Rush Hour Sunday night. Bills victory once again, rolling, just rolling. And the Bills take a huge lead in the AFC East already, Jake. We're just through week 8, and we have a 4-game lead over the Jets. We have a 3.5-game lead over the Dolphins. If you were to tell me that at the beginning of the season that we're going to have this big of a lead, I'd have said, no, you're crazy. But it's happening, Jake. So talk to me about this. Let's get right into it. This offense was incredible today. And I'll throw it to you, Mr. Doppelganger, Josh Allen, because you get inside Josh's mind. You know exactly what was happening today. So talk to me.
Oh, of course. Yeah, definitely, Mike. Well, first off, we got our first troll name for Sean Kula of the season here, Super Bowl Jets. Absolutely love it. It's glorious when you see the other AFC East teams lose. However, the Patriots did pick up a win. But the fact that they're all 2-win teams is bananas. So, yeah, I do want to touch on that. I mean, the fact that the Bills have this division lead is pretty incredible. We got to keep pedal to the metal, though. We can't get too comfortable because the Dolphins had the same type of lead last year, and you saw what happened, right? So I know, obviously, different teams this year and whatnot. But, it was an incredible victory. And I'll tell you this. I think heading into this game, you heard rain, 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 right? You think, oh, no, this is going to be a disaster offensively. And there were some plays, of course, where the ball was a little slippery, but listen, the Bills got a little lucky today, with some plays, whether it was the fumble or where the Seahawks had the ball within their own 3-yard line and they made mental errors. It wasn't perfect by any means, but offensively, we played a very good game of football, and defensively, you got to tip your cap to the guys because that is a high-powered offense. And Geno Smith coming into this game was the league leader in passing yards. So got to tip your cap. The boys came out to play, and it was a very, very impressive victory.
Yeah, I want to say hi to some folks out there in the chat. Jessica is not with us tonight. She's out there in the chat. She was a little tired tonight, had a lot going on. So she's just leaving it up to us tonight. We miss you, Jessica, and hopefully you'll be back next week with us. We got Big Al out there. We got the truck reviewer coming in saying, hey, yo. He's here also to talk about the great game that Cam Lewis had today.
Fantastic. How about Tom Brady giving Cam Lewis praise today? You hear that?
Come on, seriously.
Yeah.
Let me ask you real quick. What do you think of Tom Brady as an announcer? What do you think?
I like him. I know you kind of have mixed feelings about him, and that could be rubbing off from just his playing career, Mike. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it. But, no, I don't think he's as good as Greg Olsen. I think Greg Olsen was a little more he was just a little bit better with, like, the announcing part of it. Obviously, football IQ is definitely there. Like, he knows what he's talking about. He definitely, from a quarterback perspective, I think a lot of people like to hear that angle of it, right? So I think he does a really nice job. I like Greg Olsen a little bit more, but Tom's obviously got the bigger name, so they're going to go with Tom Brady at that position. So I think overall he's pretty darn good, though, for first year doing it.
What do you like, Romo, Brady? Which one you give the edge to?
I do really like Romo. I will say, though, when they told him to kind of like dim down the predicting plays and all that kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. I know it's not his fault. I loved when he was just predicting plays and saying exactly what was going to happen. Like that, to me, the football nerd in me was like, this is incredible. Like, this is what we want to see. So hopefully he can, get back to his ways in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, it is cool. He has a lot of history with Buffalo, and he was actually putting that on display today. So it was really cool.
Yeah,
I think the only thing I was saying is like, I don't know, I don't know if he has that announcer voice. Maybe he's got to work into that a little bit. They can take the microphone and adjust it, make him sound a little different. But I think obviously he knows the game, and it was really cool to kind of hear, when he's talking about the Bills, the history with them, and outside of the Bills organization, nobody knows the Bills like Tom Brady.
Yeah, really.
But Cody, thanks for joining us tonight. We got Goku 1. Yes, congrats on the blowout win. Wish my Chiefs would win like that. Hey, I wouldn't complain. You're 7-0, and you're winning. You just need to win. Great teams win ugly. And then Chad the Chief, hey, everyone, just got home from Alabama. What were you doing out in Alabama? With a banjo on my knee? Something like that. And
did you go to the Mizzou game, Chad?
Yeah.
Alabama and Mizzou played this weekend. It was a tough game, 34-0 blowout. But I know Chad's a Mizzou fan, so
Well, joining us tonight is also, shame on me for not saying it yet, Mr. Sean Kula, nobody cooler, Super Bowl Jets over there on the right. He is faceless today. But Sean, I mean, I threw it to Jake first, and Jake just left this for you. This is what you like to talk about because it all starts in the trenches, and that old line was dominant. So let me throw it to you for your praise of that offensive line.
Yeah, well, if you guys pay attention to me, this is and what I do on my channel. This is an every week kind of performance for them, and obviously some more dominant than others, but this was one of the most elite performances overall that they had. Um, and again, it's just awesome to see. He's in a hostile environment, in the rain, in the weather. That defensive line, it may not have the superstar names on it, but they were number one in the league with pressure, with only bringing 4 players. So they actually get more pressure when they don't blitz than they do when they blitz. So it was a very big test for them, and that one sack that Josh took again, he was just holding the ball for forever, and then he had zero pocket awareness and just try to move around without moving his head, and then the guy hit him from the side, and he fumbled it. We got the ball back, but other than that, man, they were just outstanding. They were bullying him in the run game. They couldn't do nothing to stop the run, and then passing the ball again, elite pass blocking all across the board. And it's just awesome to see.
Uh-oh, Mike, you're on mute, sir.
I love going on mute. I mean, that's my
Yes, you
thing. I
do.
just do it. It was a beautiful thing, Sean. And at some point, I was just, I don't know what it is. I'm getting older. I felt a little bad for the Seahawks. I'm like, damn. I mean, we really got under their skin, and they were so deflated by the end of that game. And it was just perfection. I mean, yeah, you can say there's a few things, but on that O line, dominant on the run. Bringing up the numbers right here. And Jake, I'll let you talk about everything here that you're seeing on the screen.
Yeah, well, I actually want to talk about something other than the numbers too. And then I'll get right into that. But before I lose track of it, the 12th man, the battle of the 12th man was today, Mike. And the Seahawks, they are well known for that, right? Their fan base is intense, their stadium is loud. And I think there was a little preview before the game. They talked about Bills Mafia versus the 12th man that Seattle has. And then, the 12th man, that's a term that's used very, I feel, loosely across the NFL and multiple leagues now. But there are certain teams that it truly does apply to. Texas A&M, first off, because that is like a tradition there at Texas A&M. Secondly, definitely the Seahawks. They literally retired the number 12. No one can wear that number because it is in support of the 12th man. And then the Buffalo Bills. I'll tell you what, I'd be hard pressed to find another team that travels as well as Buffalo Bills fans do. I mean, you talk about maybe the Steelers, Cowboys, teams like that, but there's just something about Bills Mafia. And listen, they showed up today. They showed them on the broadcast. I've seen videos and clips and everything, and it was absolutely incredible to go from East Coast to West Coast to make that trip, to sit there in the pouring rain. I mean, that's football weather. It's just a business trip, right? But you got to love it. So I need to give a shout out to our fan base. I mean, they definitely showed up in full force. So love to see it. I'm sure the players appreciated it. There it is. Amen.
Apologies for scaring any animals at this point in time.
It's incredible. It really is. Let's get into the numbers, though. Let's get into the numbers here. So first off, Josh Allen throws his first interception today. It hurts a little bit. Obviously you didn't want to ever see that streak end, but 301 straight passes where he didn't throw an interception. Longest of his career, longest in Bills history. And, you talk about this turnover machine that Josh Allen is. And I know it, a couple times today, he lost control of the football. Luckily, we got it back. But he's done a tremendous job. And again, today, making smart decisions when he needed to. At times, as Sean mentioned, sure, he hangs onto the ball for a little bit too long, but trying to make a play. I'm okay with it at times. The rushing yards, James Cook, I mean, let him cook. He had a phenomenal day today. And you get an elusive back like that who has a surprising amount of power. It's tough to tackle him, especially in the raining conditions. So just a tremendous job. And you got to give the boys up front a lot of credit. Now, there is something about these Bills games lately, Mike. I don't know why, but the laundry is out in full force too. I mean, there's a lot of yellow flags out there. I think it was 23 penalties today, which is tied for, or it was the most in an NFL game. So not the prettiest type of football at times just because of that. But I'll tell you what, this offense, it's like a symphony at times. That first drive, that 90-yard drive where we took 10 minutes off the clock, just absolutely like what a tone setter. And I know there were penalties on that drive, but the Bills overcame all day, and you just love to see it. And Khalil Shakir, man, like Mr. Reliable. I mean, just incredible. Keon Coleman, what a day for him. Had a couple drops, but he made up for it in other ways, whether it was blocking or having a nice one-handed catch in the end zone or doing scramble drill or whatever it may be, right? And then some nice involvement from the tight ends. You know, the only guy that really didn't get the ball a lot today was Amari Cooper, and he was almost more like a decoy today. So he did his part, and he's selfless as always. So, Sean, how we feeling how we feeling about this offensive performance? I got to ask you.
Yeah, it was. It seemed like from start to finish, obviously minus the penalties. That's the second time. So we broke the record that was recently placed by us and the Jets for most penalties in a game, and we just beat that again. And that's not something you want to continuously do, and it's something we've been bringing up for the last 8 years. We get all these streaks with highly penalized games, then you all of a sudden you have games with like 1 or 2, then you go back to the 10 or 12 ones, and it's just we got lucky because they're drive killers. That first drive, we got the ball at the 20, or we got the ball at the 30, and Josh Allen had 80 passing yards in that drive because we kept going back so many times. And again, we got lucky that we scored, but moving down the field, 15-yard holding, you get chunk yardage, false start, and you just can't keep doing that, and it's really frustrating. Again, that was my one gripe about the O-line was I think the first drive we had 3 or 4 flags on them alone, and then obviously more throughout the game. And then besides that, just Codrington fielding a punt at the 1. That was really stupid. And probably should have told him, like, yeah, you're sitting on the bench for a little bit just to teach him a lesson because you're a rookie. You can't be making mistakes like that. But yeah, offensively, besides the penalties, and like you said, I don't mind when Josh holds the ball a little bit either because obviously we have the line to do it. But if you're going to hold the ball, you got to at least be aware of what's around you. You can't just keep your eyes downfield the entire time and dance and then think that no one's coming near you, because that was what happened. He was looking at straight. He felt the pressure to the left, didn't worry about the pressure to the right, and then he got stripped. But overall, minus those couple little gaffes, it was just probably our best offensive performance overall. I would say, again, minus the penalties. But yeah, very very pleased. I wanted to see a little bit more Cooper. I expected more Cooper because I was like, yeah, 4 catches, 5 targets last week. He'll probably get involved in the offense more this week. But then I started thinking about it when they took him off on that first drive for a while. I was thinking maybe they're not comfortable with him with the silent counts yet and the audibles at the line. Maybe next week at home when it's quiet on offense, they'll feel more comfortable to put him out there more. I just thought, maybe he probably could have played a little bit more. And like you said, he was more of a decoy, but I still would have liked to get more of a connection going with him because we want that going into these games against like the Lions and the Chiefs. But, it was just a quiet day for him, and I expect a big day for everybody next week.
Yeah, Coleman. I mean, I love the confidence that Josh is building with Coleman. I mean, you said he had 2 drops. He did have that beautifully thrown ball by Josh between 2 defenders that Brady was like, listen, he was saying, I'll talk to the young quarterbacks out there. Most of you should not be throwing this ball. You probably don't have the arm to throw that ball. But Josh put it right there. And again, it hit your hands. You should be catching that one. The other one I think was just well defended by Woolen, and which was funny because Woolen knocks it down and is in Keon Coleman's face right after that play in the end zone, defends it, and then they come right back. And Coleman has his day where he mosses Woolen in the end zone. Beautiful catch, one-handed, fantastic. So I love what they're building there. It seems like they're starting to use Coleman more over the middle as well, which is really where, I mean, 6'4" guy, what, 220 something, 215,
Yeah.
220. Should be
Yeah.
using that guy definitely on those quick slants. So love what I'm seeing there. And then Matt Collins, I mean, he's not on the sheet here as far as receiving goes, but obviously he had a great special teams play late in the game. I mean, it was a gift given to him, but he was right there. And, the guy is just a great teammate. I mean, he pumps up the guys, and just great blocker, fantastic blocker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that running game wouldn't be obviously the O-line has the biggest part of that, but those blockers, those wide receivers, those tight ends blocking for that run game make it all happen. So just an all out. And I know people are going to say, well, they didn't have DK Metcalf, right? And that is a big thing. And they did shoot themselves in the foot early on, but it just felt like there was no way they were stopping this offense today. No way, Jake.
And everyone assumed too, like you talk about the offensive side of it, like, tough, rainy conditions, like, oh boy, turnover central, right? But I mean, outside of that one interception, it was very clean, like very, very well done. Obviously, Josh mishandled a few of those, but again, great awareness by the guys to pick that up. Ty Johnson, I think, picked that ball up 20 yards downfield or however many yards downfield it was, right? So just a fantastic job. And, on the other side of things, just this morning, we're talking about how Kenneth Walker might have a 300-yard rushing day, right? And what did he have? 12 yards on 9 carries? I mean, this defense was stout. The defensive line absolutely showed up. They dominated, especially the interior. And how about Austin Johnson, a big man getting an interception? You love seeing stuff like that. My boy Javon Solomon recording a sack. I mean, I think everyone had a contribution on that defensive line in one way or the other. Anyone that was active, at least. So just a really, really great thing to see. And Greg Rousseau, I mean, he started off, it was like 3 straight plays. I mean, this guy continues to show up on a weekly basis. I don't know what happens, but Sean, maybe you lit a fire under his ass or something, man, because you kind of called him out a little bit, and he's just been balling out lately. So love to see it. And I get it. The Seahawks O-line isn't necessarily the best O-line in football, but hey, he's winning the matchups he should win, and that's extremely important.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sean, talk about the D, and I want to get your opinion on what you think, how you think Spectre did.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really think anybody did bad on defense today. Like Jake mentioned, as much as Geno Smith isn't the best quarterback in the world, he was leading the league in passing yards, and Kenneth Walker is a really great running back, and we've been really bad against the run. Now, there's games in the past years where we have, games like this where you could hold a running back, but both their running backs had a total of 16 rushing yards. That's just insane. So I think that's a testament to the guys up front, to the linebackers, even the corners were doing really good in run defense. And if they could play like that all year against all the other running backs and they're not scared to tackle, then the run defense can be a little bit better. And I think Spectre did pretty good. Obviously in coverage, he's not the best, and it's hard to cover running backs and speedy slot receivers. And I was kind of upset. The only thing I was kind of angry about was they dropped Groot into coverage against Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like, he's not going to win that ever.
Yeah,
Like, ever. And if his life depended on it, he would never win that matchup. So I don't understand that. I'd rather have him go against the third string right tackle like he has all night and destroy him. But Babish thought it'd be a better idea to drop him into coverage in the slot, and it didn't make any sense to me. But again, overall, I thought everyone did a great job. Obviously, you can't give up no yards, passing and no yards rushing. But I really thought Spectre stepped up today and made some good plays in the run. And even Cam Lewis went in there, made some plays, Mike. But yeah, we got to talk about this more. 16 rushing yards for the running backs. That's crazy.
Yeah.
After you gave up 200 rushing yards to Derrick Henry alone, you only gave up 16 to Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. That's they gotta pat themselves in the back for that one. They really it brought down the average because Henry kind of skewed the average for our run defense, and then now it kind of leveled out.
And, both Balin Spector and Dorian Williams, I mean, that's a tall task for both of those guys to come in. And, Dorian Williams did get cooked on the one play by Kenneth Walker where it's an open field play and Kenneth Walker just kind of shimmied a little bit. But I'll tell you what, both of those guys made athletic plays today. Spector especially, I mean, there was the one, the pass to Kenneth Walker, and he made a really nice tackle. I mean, just some of the screen plays too. Both of them played, I thought, a very, very good game of football. And especially Baylon Spector, man, because, you know, he wasn't really well known for his athleticism coming into this league in general. And people thought, you know, 7th round pick, probably a career special teamer, 3 years in the league and done. But as Jessica says, definitely a quality backup and a guy that we can count on now. So it's just the next man up mentality in that linebacker room. And really, everyone that stepped in to play linebacker this year has done a tremendous job.
Yeah, I think that says a lot for McDermott, but Rasul Douglas, dude. I mean, that guy's been making some great tackles on run plays, and dude, he should have had a pick six. He read it.
Oh,
He was
I know.
there. It was
Close.
so close, but I love what he's been doing as far as run support. Just bringing the fire there. I know Brett from the Go Pills podcast has a very serious question. He's been talking about this a lot in our group chat. And he's like, is Reggie Gilliam a waste of a roster spot? Should he be on the 53-man roster? And here he is. Where is Reggie Gilliam? Only time I saw him was on a penalty on a one of the kickoff plays.
He had a nice lead block on a run play. But, yeah, outside of that, I mean, not a whole lot of usage. It is a little concerning for me. You know, I love when they run the power eye with him. You know, I think most of the time we're picking up at least 4 yards every time he's a lead blocker. So, you know, maybe it's just on them to get him a little more involved in the offense. I do think that the Bills value him. There's a reason why he's still on the roster. I understand why you think he is a waste of a roster spot just because he isn't getting that utilization. But the guy's an athlete, plain and simple.
And you don't want to waste another jersey, Jake.
That's right. Yeah, right? I cannot listen.
You don't want another
I've had this jersey. Right. I'm done getting current jerseys, Mike, if it gets cut.
Well, the nice thing too is like we've made it through 4 weeks without Von Miller. We went 3-1 without Von, and he comes back. He's eligible to come back next week, and I expect him to be back. So, good news. Good news going into that big game. I mean, it's obviously a huge game for both of us, but Dolphins. I mean, they're either if they were able to somehow win a game in Buffalo, they could get back into things. But this is huge, absolutely huge. So. Sean, what else you want to talk about, my friend?
Well, we had another 100-yard receiver back-to-back weeks. Khalil Shakir. It's pretty cool, huh?
Look at that. 9
that is pretty cool,
receptions, 10 targets. Again, he's got to be leading the league by a landslide as far as reception percentage. I mean, here he is, 90%. Threw him 10 times. He caught the ball 9 guys. I can't even remember. Which is the one that he didn't catch? I can't remember which play that was.
It was the
I don't know.
It was a tipped pass. It was against Baltimore. It was literally after he broke the record for most consecutive catches. Allen threw him a pass behind him, kinda, and then the guy from Baltimore tipped it. And then
what about today? Though?
I was talking about today's. Yeah, he's got one target that he apparently missed.
Oh, it must have been overthrown or a penalty or something because he didn't drop anything. I didn't see him drop anything.
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Maybe they made a
target.
mistake. I don't remember that. Maybe it was on. Maybe they credited it to when Josh threw it out of bounds as like a throwaway. I don't know. Who knows? But I don't think he dropped one. But yeah, we might be on pace for 2 1,000-yard receivers right now with him and Coleman.
That's awesome, man.
I think
love it.
I think they're both. I think Shakir's definitely at 400 something. I think he's at like 430, and Coleman's got to be close to 400, if not a little bit over 400 right now.
I mean, technically, Amari Cooper could get there. Well, actually, I don't think so. His stats coming into.
Yeah, I think he had 250 coming in, and then he got 60 with us the first game. So
yeah,
I mean, with including the Browns, he might, but I don't think he'd get it. He might. Hey, he might turn it up in the next couple of weeks and get a couple 120-yard games, 150-yard games because he's due for one. I mean, I got a good feeling about this coming week at home against the Miami Dolphins team. But I'm just happy to see. I would have liked to see Josh get another 300-yard game. I felt like they could have got it for him, but they didn't. So that kind of sucks. But still 288 passing yards. I think it was 70% completion in the rain and the wind. 2 more touchdowns. Cook stole a couple more, but good for Cook. He had a fantastic day. You know, he's a huge piece to our offense, and even Ray Davis had a couple other good couple runs, and also too with going back to like Geno Smith for a second, most of his yards were when we were up 31-3, and we
Yeah, it was
kind of just
garbage
played
time.
soft coverage but yeah, so the guy had 2,000 passing yards after 7 weeks basically, and then we kind of held him. I think he finished with like two something, but he probably had like 110 when it was like actually a game, and then when we stopped playing tight and you know, let them kind of run the clock out on themselves, they got a couple good chunks downfield. But man, this defense really came to play today. I was very impressed from, you know, all the games we had where we had bad halves or a bad quarter. It seemed like every quarter from start to finish was solid, except for again the penalties and then the mistake on the punt return with the fielding at the one. But yeah, you take this momentum into a home game against Miami, and obviously don't look ahead. But I mean, the Texans are playing the Jets on Thursday night. The Jets lose that game, they're 2-7, and they're done.
Whew.
And they still got to play Miami twice. So the Miami's got 5 losses. They got to play the Jets twice, us one more time, the Patriots again, and that's not counting the 49ers, the Packers, the Browns. So you have an opportunity to send Miami home at 2-6, and then you're 7-2, and then you're feeling pretty dang good. But this is a great momentum game, and I was very pleased with everybody, and I can't wait to do the film for this because even the wide receivers had some good blocks.
Dude, they did. You want to talk about a hell of a block. Keon Coleman, a couple times in this game, you know, the one I saw, I think he was in the slot and he just went out there and just freaking pancaked the guy. And then the other, he got locked up with a DB on the sideline there. I think they did call unnecessary roughness on that play. Or I think I know there was a flag on that play. There had to have been. It was like every other play there was a flag. Yeah, I mean, just a fantastic job blocking by him today. Love to see it. Love to see the wide receivers blocking out there. Beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I think Groot got robbed of a sack. They don't have it yet. They might change it, but currently ESPN doesn't have him showing a sack. And I think they're saying that was a run, even though, I mean, they were getting pressure on Geno Smith. He falls down as he's falling. Groot
Yeah.
catches him, and they didn't give Groot credit for that, which kind of, I hope they change that because he deserves it. And I want to talk about the weather. We've always been worried, at least I was in the years past, last year, whatever, whenever it rained. I'm like, oh, damn it. I want to see the Bills playing in weather games that don't affect how Josh Allen throws the ball, how the receivers catch the ball. That's been put to bed, man. These guys are playing in the weather, and I'll give the Bills the edge over any team in any weather, whether it be rain, snow, of course. With this offense, with these receivers that have very good hands, and other than, like I said, Josh, lost control of the ball when he was trying to run it one time, but still. I'm not worried about that weather anymore. It didn't even feel like there was weather. Honestly, once they showed the rain, I was like, okay. I know, Sean, you were even concerned about it, but man, I'm not worried at all anymore. When I hear rain, wind, okay, bring it on.
This is football, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it was beautiful football weather, in my opinion, Mike. I think what everyone was worried about, it's not so much Josh Allen. Josh Allen can throw the ball through any condition, any weather. I mean, you saw it. Even in that Patriots game from a few years ago, he could freaking rip it through that wind. There's no issue on his side of things. It's now whether the receivers can catch the football. And today, they did a tremendous job of doing so. So, again, love to see it. And I'll tell you what, it is so relieving to have a guy like Khalil Shakir. I mean, that is really what the Bills have been missing over the last few years. When we lost Cole Beasley, like that was a major loss to our offense. Like that was our go-to guy, a guy that caught everything, got tough, gritty yards, wasn't afraid to go across the middle and do things that a lot of other guys won't do. So I love it. And I love the pre-snap motion with Shakir too. I mean, there's just, being able to throw to him out of the backfield, throw to him across the middle, even on deep routes. Like, he's a special player, man. I love it. And Cody with a beautiful stat here. He said, what is it here? Through week 7, Khalil Shakira, he calls him Khalil Shakira, leads all players in catch. Leads all players in catch percentage. 96.4% of passes are completed to Khalil Shakir. I think there were only 2 missed targets on the season, which is just insane. And he runs every route in the route tree. That's the thing. It's like this guy isn't just an over guy. Like, he'll go deep sometimes. He'll run out routes. He'll do whatever. So it's not like they're just gimme passes. Now, sure, he runs a lot of screenplays, but it's he's just special, man. And Tony told us this, Mike, a long time ago. He's like, you guys got a good one. We thought maybe he was on the chopping block last year in the offseason, right? Or 2 years ago.
Wait a minute. Nobody thought that
Yeah,
other
not all
than
of
I
us thought
think
that.
Some people did.
Some people
did. Right. I did not. I actually made a video on why he isn't.
I think that was Timmy. Timmy, by the way,
Timmy.
was the one who was starting to stir up some trouble there. I'm like, no.
That's right.
No, come on. Goku.
I will say, Jake, I love you, but I think you're the only person who likes playing football in shitty weather.
I love it, dude. Yeah, my brother would just look at me like I had 4 heads. He's like, what is wrong with you, man? Like, I would be, every day, thunderstorm, lightning outside. I'm like, beautiful day for football. Let's go outside. Come on, Even sitting at a game, I enjoy it. Beautiful.
The rain isn't too bad as long as it's not cold.
Yeah, I've had to play both sides of the ball because I went to a small school. Playing defense in the rain was fun, but when I was trying to play running back in the rain, when my offensive line couldn't get out of a 3-point stance because of the mud, and I was greeted by 5 or 6 defensive linemen or defensive players by the time I got the football in my hand, it wasn't too fun then. But, I only don't like weather watching professional football because obviously it affects both teams, but it's so many things can change because of the weather. Like a tip pass that would have been normally caught with dry weather could be turned into a pick six and you lose the football game. You could fumble a snap, or you could trip at the one on fourth down, and then the game slips away from you. So Seattle lost a couple key plays because of weather. We did too, but it worked out in our favor. Josh fumbled it because he wasn't holding the ball with 2 hands. Nobody touched him, and luckily he kicked it, and then Ty Johnson caught it. But you got to hold the ball with 2 hands. He's trying to be like Shady McCoy, and that's why I hate Shady, because Allen took that from him. I was like, good, let me run like I have no regard for the football, and then I wonder why I fumble the ball 75 times a year. And especially in the rain, dude. Like it's pouring rain, torrential downpour, and you're trying to hold it with your fingertips. Run the ball like you're holding a piece of bread. You can't do that. But luckily, it didn't affect us in a negative way today. We ended up dominating. But I was telling my mom earlier, because we were talking about it on the phone, and in September and October, those are the months for the Buffalo Bills to have decent weather games, because in January and February and November, you're probably not going to have many nice weather games. So you like to have nice ones in the first 2 months, but we only had 1 game this year where weather wasn't a factor as far as rain, wind, anything. So, and now we're going into the cold months, the snow months, and it's going to get more fun. And
breaking up.
And I know Jake's going to have
breaking up a little bit there.
Oh, we're going to have a great time, Sean. But I do want to say,
technical difficulties. What did you want to say, Jake?
No. Listen, random shots fired at Shady McCoy. Listen, I understand he held the ball like this. So I had to look this up because I was curious. I'm like, I don't remember him actually fumbling that much with the Bills. Now, the way he held the ball, absolutely atrocious. It is not a good coach tape, right? Like, you don't want to watch him hold the football. But surprisingly, as a Buffalo Bill specifically, playing in those poor weather games, right? Only fumbled the ball, 8 times as a Buffalo Bill. In his career, he had it was like 800 something touches. So not that bad. Not that bad, surprisingly.
Yeah,
no, I hated him for that because he got that from Shady, watching him when he was a rookie. So I was just like, oh, come on, man.
Goku, I wish this was true. I mean, right now the Bills are the 3rd seed through week 8. Obviously, this is going to be very important. We actually are ahead of the Ravens right now, which is crazy that they lose to Cleveland. Well, I mean, who would have expected that? We watched that game, of course. Most of you know my son's a Ravens fan, so I got to put up with that. And, I always pretend I'm cheering for them. I pretend, but I'm not. So it was a nice victory for Cleveland. And, yeah, we're ahead of them. So I wish it may come. I mean, we may be able to rest some point in the season, but I don't, you got to keep the pedal to the metal. And you want to get that, 2 seed would be beautiful again. We had it last year, didn't take advantage of it. But obviously, I'd rather the teams like Baltimore, potentially the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to have to lose a few if we're going to get that advantage. But bring people to Buffalo. That's what I want to do. I want to play them in the playoffs in Buffalo.
Agreed. Yep.
Mike, so you're telling me the Baltimore Ravens, the vaunted Baltimore Ravens, lost to the 1-6 Cleveland Browns? Is that what you're
I
telling
am.
me?
Yeah. I mean, they
And they
just
lost to the
needed Jameis and
2-6
Winston.
Vegas Raiders. Jameis Winston at that. I just wanted to
What a day for
make sure that was the
Jameis.
same.
Yeah.
That was the same Ravens team that we were talking. I love Jameis Winston. I love when he does
Oh, me
well and has
too.
success. He, just his story is just incredible, and he's such a humble guy. And not the best quarterback obviously in the world, but he won a lot of games as a starter. Had a couple, he had a 5,000-yard passing year. Obviously, he threw 30 picks that year too, with 30 touchdowns. But it's hard to throw 5,000 passing yards, and it's hard to throw 30
Yeah.
picks. Also, it's hard to throw 30 picks as well. But at the same time, that team was just so bad, and I think if they had a little bit better team offensively, like their defense also, they would. Uh, weren't that good either. So he kind of just had to keep slinging the ball, got picked off. What are you going to do? But he's such a nice guy. And, seeing him rally his team against one of the better teams in the league at home, obviously you might think their season's over still, but that kept them alive for a little bit. They got Nick Chubb back. Jameis Winston played really good football. And if you could beat Baltimore, hey, who knows what's next for the Browns?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. And by the way, do yourselves a favor. Listen to the interview, pregame and postgame from Jameis. It's incredible. Just legendary. One of one, truly.
I will say this though, the Ravens, it's just one of those games like when Buffalo has one of these games where I mean they had at least half a dozen drops from the receivers, and they had at least half a dozen drops from their defense because
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, Winston threw at least 6 that should have been picked off, and the defenders just didn't catch it. But yeah, big win, moves us up a spot, which is always fantastic. Jessica saying the only defensive issue was dealing with screens and passes coming out of the backfield. Yeah, early on, there was like a series or two. I was like, dang, these screens are in our group chat. I was like, these screens are killing us. But the Bills adjusted. They've been doing a great job with adjusting this year, Jake, which love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was definitely different than previous games because the Seahawks did not get off to a fast start and the Bills did. So it was kind of nice to see the change of pace. And I thought eventually the fields would even out a little bit, and it just never happened. I mean, we never even gave them an inch until really the end of the game when it was more or less just garbage time. We're just playing prevent, trying to kill some clock, right? So just a fantastic defensive effort. Maybe one of the best I've seen performance-wise from this defense in quite some time. You figure with all the injuries and, just the fact that we played a really good offense here. I know they were missing DK Metcalf, but they still got some absolute dogs in Kenneth Walker and Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, who was basically invisible in this game, like still a very solid football player. Noah Fant, it's not a bad offense by any means. There's a reason why they're putting up the numbers they are, so just a absolute credit to the team overall and the defensive unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very quality win.
Yeah. Before we get into our final segment, which is a new one called Heroes and Zeros, Sean, did we forget anything? I mean, there's just so many good things to say. I think we've said it all. This was a dominant victory from start to finish. You said, I think you said earlier on, probably our best offensive performance all year because it was a complete game, maybe with the exception of the Dolphins or whatever. But anybody else, anything else you want to talk about? Coaches, throw it out there.
Yeah. Well, again, besides the dropping Groot into coverage, I thought the defensive. I'm just gonna say defensive coaches because I'm sure McDermott has a hand in it, Babbage and everyone else. So defensive coaches did a great job. Brady still, we run the ball over 62% of the time on first down, so pretty predictable. And we run over 60% of the time in the red zone, was also predictable. And I don't like the on second and goal from the 10 running with up the middle with Josh Allen. That we do that every game, and I don't understand why. That's a guaranteed no yard play, and I'd rather just him throw the football or run it with Cook or something. So obviously a little bit to work on with him because again you got to stop being predictable because you're going to play the Chiefs, you're going to play the Lions, and you're going to need to have a little bit of and try to get an advantage somehow. But yeah, I think we got to talk about National Tight End Day, and Dawson Knox started the game off with a massive catch, and then he had another big. Obviously, only had 2 catches, but they were huge plays, big chunk play. I think they were both 20-yard plus 20-yard plays, and then Kincaid had 5 catches and a touchdown. So, congratulations
Four
to
catches.
them, and it's nice to see Knox get involved. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, I love it,
100%.
man. He can
100%.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 for 50 for Knox, along with 27, 2 targets, 2 catches. Kincaid 4 of 31. He was targeted 7 times, came down with 4 of them. Sean, I'll be a little. I'll counter you a little bit. I don't think they were predictable today. And I know early, I think on the first drive, they came out early on. I think Josh audible and went pass when you would think it was run. I just feel like the screens were working. Maybe it was just because everything was working, Sean, that I didn't feel they were too predictable because the screen passes were working. Everything was just clicking. And I felt like, again, when you look at that defense of the Seahawks by the end of that game, dude, they were like, what the? I mean, you couldn't figure anything out. So to me, that says maybe not so predictable this game.
Right. And, and I won't even argue that, but I will say, I don't know if you guys caught the show yesterday. I kind of brought up how even though we're predictable, we're still able to run the ball the way we do. Like we run the same concepts in the run game, and the offensive line still bullies people. So it's like even if we are predictable, we're still able to dominate, and it's pretty cool. I also want to quickly touch on. Obviously, it's not our player, but when that young defensive lineman hit Josh in the head and it cost him 15 yards, and the veteran went in his face, and instead of one of the Bills players getting at him to try to fight him, he's I don't know. He probably said a lot more expletive words, but basically saying you got to think, pointing at his head. And then the young guy didn't like it at first, but that's the kind of leader that you want to see on a team where the young guy makes a mistake, the vet gets in the face, the young guy kind of gets upset, then they talk it over. They're all brothers again. But that's I never seen that before live. I don't think where something like that happened. I was kind of shocked, and it was kind of cool to see. But I don't know how you guys felt about that.
I loved it, man. Yeah, Jaron Reed. I mean, he's been a good player in this league for a long time, and making his return to Seattle. I think last year he went back to Seattle, so that's where he started his career. Now he's going to finish it there, most likely. And he's been in the league for 9 years now, so he's seen it all. So for him to get on Derek Hall like that, I love it. I love the fire. I think it was a fantastic job by him. And then he went over to the sideline. They kind of settled things, let it cool off a little bit, and yeah, I mean, tremendous display of leadership, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love what you said, Sean. Even if we're not predictable, it's like, you know what we're doing, try to stop us. And they couldn't, right? So Bills imposing their will on both sides of the ball, which is pretty awesome, especially on the offensive side. If you felt they were predictable, great. You couldn't do anything about it. Let's see here. We have the Dolphins next week. What time is that game? Is that a primetime game by any chance or no?
I think that's a 1:00 game. I'm pretty sure.
1 o'clock?
Yeah, it's 1:00. The only true primetime game we have left is the Niners. Everything else is either 1 or the Chiefs game is 4:25, but that's not technically a primetime game.
Okay.
I know it could be a standalone, but it's not an 8:00 slot. They might flex. I doubt it, but usually they leave like week 18 open because you play a division game, and we have the Patriots, but they're going to be out of it probably in like 2 weeks. So I don't know if they'll flex that game, but maybe they'll flex like the Lions game to a prime time. I don't know if they're even able to at that point. But yeah, I think the rest of our games are at 1:00 except for the Chiefs and the Niners.
All right, well, I forget to ask everyone all the time. We're late in the show, but if you haven't already smashed that like button for us, please do. If you're new to the channel, please drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us and share the podcast. We're a little over 100 subscribers away from 2,000. That's a big marker right there, and we'll definitely be doing something special. So help us out. Help us get to that 2,000 subscriber mark. Really, really appreciate all of you, especially those out there in the channel that support us on a weekly basis. We got the the Saber show coming back this Thursday. Pretty cool. So you see the Sabres Edge coming back. Sabres not getting off to a pretty decent start. We're going to try to get back to the AFC Summit this Tuesday. Got a lot to talk about, man. I don't know what's going on with those Jets, those Dolphins, and of course, the Patriots are puffing their chest after this one. But Final segment here. Zeros and heroes. We'll start with the heroes. And sort of like a game ball, Jake. But who's your hero today?
Hero today gotta be Khalil Shakir. I mean, just what he was able to do offensively today. Catching the football, wasn't even wearing gloves at a certain point, which I'd love to see. I mean, I know it was raining out, so it helps a little bit when you don't have to, rely on those at times. But yeah, I mean, the guy's got glue hands and just working every single portion of the field today. Just a fantastic performance. I love slot receivers too, so I got to give him a lot of love.
Yeah, nickname Pinball. Continues
That's right.
to always get extra yards bouncing off people. Love it. Good pick there, Jake. I'll ask you real quick. Are there any zeros? Do you have a zero today?
I hate to say this, but I might have to give my guy Reggie Gilliam the zero because he got a hold.
Okay.
No, I can't do that. I'm not doing that, Mike. Come on now. He'll always be a hero in my book. No, I can't even pinpoint a zero on this team today.
Yeah,
I mean, the coaching in general, everything was just. I guess the only zero would just be the amount of penalties, but that's a team thing, right?
Yeah. You can give a team thing. I mean, if you want to, I know Sean, he's always wanting to give it to the O-line. It's probably where he's going to go with his hero, but and that's okay. Sean, your hero and your zero.
I was gonna say, do I even gotta tell you who mine would be? Yeah, no, they did a hell of a job. But if I don't know who you're going to pick, Mike, but if I had to pick someone besides the line, which that's who my main pick is, I'll go last in case I pick someone that you like. But my true pick is the line. If I had to pick a singular player, I'll tell you after you go. But my zero would have to be Codrington for fielding it at the 1 when it was guaranteed to go in the end zone for touchback for at the 20. Instead, we got the ball at the 11. And you got to it's a game of inches, right? And they say it every week on the commentators always mention it in every game you watch. Why the guy field it inside the 10? You're taught to stand at the 10-yard line, and if it goes behind you, leave it alone. That's what you're supposed to do, right? That's what you're taught. And they bring it up every week. And then he fields it at the 1. Like, come on, dude. That's obviously didn't matter in this point, but it might matter against the Chiefs. It might matter against the Dolphins next week. It might matter against the Lions. So you can't be making mistakes like that. Other than that, he had pretty decent returns, but you're zero for that. So go ahead, Mike, and then I'll do a single player after because my offensive line. My offensive line deserves.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. The offensive line is what Sean's saying. He's breaking up there a little bit. My hero, of course, every week is Cam Lewis, but for this particular game,
not for Trek Reviewer.
Trek Reviewer, hero Cook, zero Cam Lewis. I mean, he never respects the guy, but Cam Lewis deserves it. But I'm going to go Kean Coleman with the hero. That chemistry continues to build, and love what I'm seeing. You talk about Amari Cooper, you talk about Kean Coleman, Khalil Shakir, everything's starting to cook. They're all eating. I hope they don't put on a few pounds because we can't afford that if they're eating too much. But I'm liking what I'm seeing. So hero goes to Kean Coleman. Zero for me is nobody. I'm not giving out a zero today. So no zero for me. Other than the penalties, I agree with Jake. You got to clean up those penalties, and that's more of a team thing. So Sean, final word to you.
Yeah. Individual. So if I had to pick a single player, yeah, it would be Cook. I think again over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and if you look at Jake mentioned Shakir, and then Brett said he's got 421 receiving yards. He missed the game, so
yeah.
I mean he's already he had 611 last year, I think, but he's already almost at that total in half the time, and he missed the whole game. So I think he's having a fantastic year. And Cook, he missed the game too, and he's at over 400 rushing yards, maybe close to 500 now. And he's got to have 5 touchdowns rushing already?
7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns, Sean.
7 total, or just 7 or 7 rushing?
7 rushing.
Really?
That's crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he's scoring like every game. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was like 5.
In fact, I got to look at that. Has he scored in every single game?
I know he's got a couple receiving touchdowns, I think, at least one. But yeah,
the only game he didn't score in was the Ravens game. Every game he's played in, he's scored except for the Ravens game. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So yeah, he'd be a hero if I couldn't just picked the offensive line, and I was really happy to see Cook. His toe looked fine, so
It does.
I think we're good to go.
I love that, Weston.
Weston, is this going to go over well at work? I mean, I told Tommy and Mike I've got a Bill shirt coming. Did you already send it out, Jake?
So I wanted to tell you, I am sending it out tomorrow. I have it packaged. It's ready to go. I have your address. It will be sent. And as soon as I get the tracking, I'll send it right to you, brother. Hopefully in a couple days, it'll come to you.
And Tommy and Mikey told him to wear it loud and proud. He says, I'm going to wear it to work as soon as I get it. Speaking of such, we got a few minutes. You feel like we should be giving away another shirt tonight?
Yeah, it's a win. Let's do it.
It's a
Why
win.
not,
Let's
right?
go.
Yeah.
All right. So let me get the wheel. Go ahead and talk about some stuff, Jake. Whatever you want until I get the wheel ready here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I think you got to put Tyler Bass's name out there a little bit too. You know, it's been a good 2 weeks for him, especially kicking in these conditions. I mean, I thought he did a pretty solid job today. There was the one extra point where it kind of like veered off, but it still ended up straight down the middle. Everything was good. So, you know, hopefully this is trending in the right direction for him and he continues doing what he's doing, because I think he is a good kicker. It's just, you know, mentally he's been struggling. So the last 2 games have looked good, and hopefully it just keeps going up like that. So love to see it. By the way, Reed Ferguson and Sam Martin, I mean, the snap and the hold, most important part, right? Before you kick the football. Very, very good job today. No muff snaps today, no muff holds, no muffed anything. So, and that includes the offensive side of the ball too. I mean, Josh and center exchange with him and Connor McGovern. Connor McGovern, the new center. I mean, they've been pretty damn good, I got to say. Very, very pleasant surprise.
Keep filling the airtime, my boys.
Okay. You're still typing names in? Gotcha.
Catching up on everybody here.
Let's see. I did want to talk a little bit about Eddie Oliver today, Sean. So I don't know how much you watched of the interior D-line, but, you know, I think a lot of people have been a little underwhelmed with his performance. And, you know, oftentimes when people just kind of look for the stats, they don't always see the bigger picture and what impact he actually has on a game. But it did seem specifically this year to me like it's been every other game that he's played in where it's been like he makes a really good impact, or it's like a more quiet day for him. So any thoughts on that? I mean, obviously we lost Dwayne Carter to an injury, a wrist injury for a little bit here. So, you know, I thought the guys did a really nice job of picking up his slack, even though he's not really technically the starter.
Yeah, no, 100%. I did bring up yesterday on the show also how the fan base, they always bring up, oh, this guy was hurt. And you know how I think, if you play hurt, you got to deal with the consequences. But those same people, when Ed Oliver was playing hurt, didn't give the same grace to him and say, oh, well, he's coming off a hamstring injury. And Jake, you know, you need your hamstrings and your legs to play football, especially in the trenches. So if he was a little bit, so if
right,
if he was, exactly. If he was a little lame in a game while he was hurt, it is what it is. But I think he's had a massive impact in a lot of these games, and even he plays next to Greg Rousseau, so people just think it's why do you think Greg Rousseau's one-on-one?
Yeah,
every time. I haven't seen Greg Rousseau get double teamed one time this year. No tight end chip, no nothing. So it opens Ed Oliver being a guy that people fear, opens up Greg Rousseau, 6'7" and a freak nature, to be in one-on-one situations, and I think they said pressure. So
it's getting a little rough with there.
Breaking up a little bit, Sean. But yeah, I think I understood what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna go to the wheel here. This is a good night to win a shirt. Now, I didn't put in Jessica. I didn't put in Sean. I didn't put in Go Bills, because they're part of our family here, so they're gonna get one regardless. Sometime during the season. So what we got? We got Trek Reviewer with a chance. We got Cody Smith. This would be funny because Cody Smith, he's a Houston fan. Goku is Go KU, by the way. Go KU is a Chiefs fan, and we got Chad the Chief, who we should obviously.
I mean, Chad should automatically.
Get one. We're going to throw him in here just for fun, but Chad, you're going to be getting one. But can you imagine, Cody? You know, again, it doesn't say Bills, it just says Nickel City Mafia, right?
It's got the same colors as the Texans too, by the way.
So,
I mean, yeah.
All right, well, let's do this here. Somebody give me let me move my camera out so I can hit that shuffle button here. Where is it? All right, give me a number, Jake, 1 through 5.
Let's go lucky number 1 through 5, you said?
Yes.
Let's go 4, James Cook.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's spin the wheel. Here we go. Round and round, round and round it goes. Where it stops. Oh, Goku says, I want it. Goku. Okay.
Hey, a little consolation prize for him because his team lost yesterday. I love it. The other Chiefs guys here chirping them a little bit. They are not Kansas fans. And they did play yesterday, Kansas and Kansas State. Kansas State got the win. That was a good game. What, 29-27, something like that? So I'm sure that made Chad feel a little bit better. Yeah, Chad did go to the Alabama game. Tough loss for you guys. Mizzou taking a 34-0 loss. Sorry to see it, man. I like Mizzou. I'm a big Mizzou fan. Not a big Mizzou fan, but enough of a fan to appreciate them and their history. And listen, Chase Daniel, Chase Kaufman, Jeremy Macklin, like they've had some good seasons in the past. Gary Pinkel, right? He was the coach back then. Love me some Mizzou history.
All right, so go KU if you're interested. Let us know. I don't know if you're still out there, but we'll have one on reserve for you. And Chad, shoot us a message. We'll get you one because you need to get one. This would be crazy. We got 3 Chiefs fans wearing Nickel City Mafia shirts. How cool would that be? I love
this it. This is how you kind of like switch them over to a new fan base, right?
Exactly.
They did say if they get the 3-peat that they will convert to Bills fans.
They did say that. They did.
So there you go, right? Yeah.
So I want to close this out now. I want to say thanks again, everyone, for joining us tonight. Great win by the Bills. Big week coming up next week against the Dolphins, and really trying to. I hate to say it, hit them when they're down, but we're going to be trying to do that. So anyhow, Jake and Sean, thank you so much, guys. And until next time, go Bills.
Go Bills.